A foot, in poetry, is a metrical pattern that consists of stressed and unstressed syllables. A foot may house only stressed or only unstressed syllables, but this is rare.
To mention a foot with only stressed syllables, the spondee suits the contents, but it is often described as strong in a markedly definite manner, and although it may be as strong as is put, in my opinion it sounds more final and absolute, or even, to borrow a music theory term, resolved. 2 feet of spondees, to exemplify, would be catch, then throw, good. It evocates an instructive tone in the example. I will exemplify again, and you will tell me the metrical pattern with the words short and long. Listen, bikes are driven, street is busy. If you were correct, you would have predicted the pattern is, as I say, long, short. Very easy, for certain. The foot is a
Trochee, which is defined like a foot housing, in succession, one stressed and one unstressed syllable. The trochaic foot is very stable, and this is evident by the constant rhythm of the pattern. Of course, be cautious, as with many constancies like those of the trochee, constancies of rhythm, they may become stale. One stressed syllable after an unstressed other, it may become monotonous, so you should take care. Without my warnings, truly, the trochee is stable, and it sounds natural of syllable-timed languages, languages in which every syllable takes roughly the same time to enunciate. Much to your chagrin, though, you will discover the English language is stress-timed, and it factors stress. It makes sure each stress takes roughly the same time to reach, and, as a consequence, unstressed vowels get reduced. This is a little tangential, but not a veridical digression, I believe. It would for certain cure monotony by incessant trochees, though. The next foot I will mention is the I am, short, long, often praised for mimicking the rhythm of conversational English speech exceptionally well, and to which I may quote the illustrious bard William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Yes, the "to" is stressed, even if to stress a functor such as "to" would sound unnatural without the semblance of an announcer's voice. My natural stressing would be, shall I compare thee to a summer's day? William Shakespeare may have contributed to the popularity of the iambic metrical pattern, as it was tradition for the bard to have composed his verses iambically, but he was not the inaugurator of the rhythm. As you can see, or at least hear, the iamb is established with firm roots in English poetry. With this, the disyllabic metrical patterns to introduce have been exhausted, and I rest to procure the definition of verse. It says verse is reckoned in meter, but in music verse is reckoned in lines. There is a little contrast in the musical and poetic definitions of verse in my eyes. For topical purposes, though, let us state verse is reckoned in meter, that is, rhythm, metrical patterns, and meter only. My mention of music may again be tangential, but
I am sure many would state music and poetry are intricately interconnected. The dactyl comes next, and its pattern is long, short, short. It has quite a valiant galloping rhythm. To exemplify, lingering sickening will-o'-the-wisp features 3 dactyls and one stressed syllable to strengthen the end. The monosyllabic foot is evocative of finality, just as the spondee, but there is little to say on the pattern, which is barely a pattern, but the dactyl is a proper pattern, as it varies. I am very fond of the dactyl, and I believe it sounds more natural than the I am. If a dactyl is a valiant galloping hastily cruising the woods, bimeter is more like a trotting rhythm. Yet another example. You are the ocean's gray waves. This is an excerpt from the song Lost in Thoughts All Alone, and although on the surface it is dactylic, I am more firm on the belief it would be more just to categorize this rhythm as anapestic with a monosyllabic foot anacrusis, that is, short, short, long, optionally filled with a single long at the start, which lends it a dragging feeling. Listening to the song once again, the intended rhythm is, in clear fashion, the anapest, short, short, long, the inverse of the dactyl, and a strong syllable is often fixed to the beginning for purposes of ornamentation. For the anapest, I have a poem proper of which to take an excerpt to exemplify. And the sound of a voice that is still. Again, anapests lend verse a dragging feeling, but they sound a little unnatural, and therefore artificial, for functors must be adequately balanced in relation to content words as stresses. In casual speech, maybe anapests are used with more frequency, but in verse and song they can sound disconcerting, mostly for the endeavor of ornamentation is already taken, not by human voices but by instruments. In Lost in Thoughts All Alone, as I asserted, the pattern is anapestic, not dactylic, but the strong start syllable primes the ear for dactyls, and as a result, the monosyllabic foot stands at a balancing act to reconciliate the two rhythms, wavering, but profuse with determination. Let us listen to the excerpt of the song a final time. You are the ocean's gray waves. To conclude, one final precaution. Please avoid chains of 3 or more short syllables, not only in verse, but in prose and casual speech as well. They are complex in a negative manner, and they may break the stable rhythm established prior. Formidable, despicable have these chains.